specs comparison first. You can pause here to see the camera setups you get on these three phones. Please note that I've updated all the phones to the latest software to ensure the best possible camera experience. This first shot is a wide angle shot in daylight where one thing is really apparent. The Poco X2's algorithm tends to boost the highlights to make brighter images. This was a consistent problem while shooting. A slight correction in post can fix the issue easily. Take a look at the picture now. The Realme X2's issue is that it boosts colors even without Chroma Boost on. I find it rather annoying. Reds, greens and blues are all heightened to make the whole image look more attractive. The Poco F1 has the most accurate exposure and looks very good. But when it comes to details across the image from the center to the corner, the Poco X2's picture is the sharpest. The difference is immediately visible. Both the X2s can also shoot high resolution 64 megapixel shot. Both are equally crisp if you ask me, but in certain areas the Realme is crisper and in other areas Poco is crisper. I can't really pick a winner out here. Overall though, in regular daylight situations, if you can control the highlights in post, I would suggest that the Poco X2 is the best camera for you. The Realme X2 and the Poco X2 can also shoot ultra wide angle images at 8 megapixel resolution. One look at our samples will have you convinced that the Poco X2 is just way better than the Realme X2. You get crisp details on the Poco X2, whereas the images shot using the Realme X2's wide angle camera are generally softer. Plus the colors and the dynamic range are better on the Poco X2 as well. Now I have a couple of close-up for you guys. First, let's take a look at these red shoes. As you can clearly tell, the Realme X2 and the Poco F1 have got the color wrong. It is slightly pink. The Poco X2 is the only one that gets the red color right, despite being slightly oversaturated. Also, when you crop in, you can clearly see that the Poco X2 offers far more details. In fact, between the Realme X2 and the Poco F1, I prefer the image captured by the F1. In the second sample, you can clearly see that the Realme X2's tendency to boost colors works against it. The gradients and the dynamics are completely missing when you look at the closer crop. Plus, the details are far better resolved on the Poco X2. One thing's for sure, the Poco X2 is benefiting a lot from the 16 megapixel pixel bin shots. Do I even have to say anything for our macro samples? If you want a camera for macro photography, just close your eyes and pick up the Poco X2. Plus, you can also do video with it for whatever it is worth. Moving on to portrait shots, all the three phones I think do an excellent job. As far as facial tones go, the Poco F1 and the Poco X2 are close to natural and look good. The Realme X2 has picked up the reds to look like Vishal has some sort of pigmentation issue. You will see that Vishal's face looks extremely crisp in the Poco X2 shot when you don't look at the picture at 100% crop. Closer inspection clearly reveals that Poco is sharpening the details unnecessarily on the X2. Both the F1 and the Realme X2 have far more natural details. Switching on to the second portrait shot, I also felt that X2's portrait looks like the subject is cut out of the background in Photoshop. The blur doesn't look very believable. Also, the cutout itself is far more even and clean on the Realme X2. Despite the color consistency issue, I'd go with the Realme X2 when it comes to portraits. I'm really not a fan of artificial sharpening. When it comes to selfies, the X2 just punches ahead with crisp details and excellent facial tones. The Poco X2 for some odd reason is too contrast heavy and there's a lot of noise at close crop. Looks like Poco forgot to switch on the noise reduction algorithm in selfies. In selfie portraits, all the three phones have great cutouts and the bokeh looks natural too. I can't really pick a winner here. You can pick an overall winner based on color reproduction and the quality of details. Therefore, I would go with the Realme X2 as my pick once again. I have to say this, I really like how the Poco F1 has held its own even after a year and a half of existing in the markets. That's probably why my eyes were closed in the selfie to acknowledge the awesomeness of the Poco brand. All the three phones can shoot at a top resolution of 4K 30fps, and when it comes to video recording, the Poco X2 comes out on top. It has the best electronic image stabilization, no autofocusing issues, crisp details, great sound, the works. Hey guys, now we are shooting the same 4K 30fps video using the Poco F1 and the Realme X2. Do let us know in the comment section below what you thought about the image quality, the image stabilization and the sound recording.
Vishal pans me right now and shows you what happens when the light falls against me and how the dynamic range changes.
In fact, both the Poco F1 and the Realme X2 don't have any kind of stabilization at all. The Poco F1 struggles with shifting focus and the Realme X2's footage just doesn't look crisp enough. However, switching to 1080p 60fps video, you do get stabilization on the Realme X2, making it my choice for shooting 60fps footage. In 1080p 30fps footage, you can pick between either one of the three phones and not be disappointed with it. That said, I feel the Poco X2 has an edge with more details and better sound quality. In selfie videos, the Realme X2 offers stabilization, giving it an immediate edge. That said, I felt that the sound recording is better on the Poco X2. The Poco F1 lags behind. When it comes to slow motion videos, all the three phones can shoot 960 fps slow motion videos, but easily the Poco F1 has the best fidelity, exposure and details of the three. The Realme X2 is objectively the worst with the lowest bitrate of 2.48 megabits per second compared to the other two which shoot at over 9 megabits per second. So I took the camera indoors now and the Poco X2 just decimates the competition. From excellent dynamic range to natural colors, the X2's picture looks pretty good. The Poco X2 struggles with exposure control and the Realme X2 ends up color boosting once again. In fact, if you look at the 100% crop, you will see that the room name Pascal on the rear looks legible in the Poco X2 shot, whereas it is blurred on the other two phones, therefore reiterating that the Poco X2 is indeed better. When it comes to selfies indoors, the Realme X2 comes up on top once again with phenomenal facial tones, crisp details and a great natural bokeh. I really don't like the Poco X2's selfie. Inspecting it at 100% crop reveals a crazy amount of noise. It feels like Poco forgot to tune the algorithm entirely. In fact, Xiaomi phones in general really need to improve the selfie performance. I still like the Poco F1's selfies over the Realme X2 though. Let's go hunting in the dark, shall we? And in the dark, the Poco X2 has better light sensitivity. I was pretty convinced even before using it that the Sony IMX686 would be great for low light shots. Even without night mode on, the resulting picture is extremely crisp. With night mode on, the Poco X2 doesn't do much to improve the exposure. In fact, the other two play catch up well. However, the Poco X2 is again on top once again. The second picture with night mode on is an even more damning evidence that the Poco X2 has a far more resolving sensor. Just look at the crisp outline of the buildings in the rear. In our final sample, the Poco X2 just makes it even more apparent that the night mode shot is just fabulous. The X2 does an incredible job of capturing the laptop screen without blowing out the highlights too. The noise control is way better too on the Poco X2 compared to the other phones. Now you must be wondering, which is the second best at low light shots and night mode? Well, it is the Realme X2 obviously. If you want to use flash, once again the Poco X2 steers clear ahead of the two. The Realme X2 comes in second and the Poco F1 comes in last. When you take selfies in low light, the Realme X2 has a night mode for better, much cleaner exposure. This makes the face look natural and skin tones as accurate as they can be in low light. I must say that Realme has really nailed the whole selfie game. All the three phones have the option for a selfie flash as well. However, only Poco's algorithm offers a warm flash, and this flash works the best on the Poco F1. The Poco X2 doesn't look bad, but it doesn't light up the face evenly. The Realme X2 tends to go overboard with the flash and overexposes certain parts of the face. The uneven facial exposure looks a little odd. So from what I can tell, overall the Sony IMX686 sensor is an incredible performer from what I can see. You get great details and excellent low light sensitivity as well. Only thing, it's not got the software algorithm love from Poco that I would have liked, primarily because the highlights get blown out in many situations. So I really want Poco to fix that soon, and trust me, once the moment that happens, the Poco X2 will easily become the best camera phone under 20,000, heck, maybe even under 25,000. And you know what? The quad camera setup on the Poco X2 is actually pretty useful. The wide angle camera setup performs admirably, and so does the macro camera, which takes excellent pictures. Now, overall in the comparison though, the Poco X2 actually does take better pictures than the Realme X2 in many scenarios, except for when the Realme X2 does better than the Poco X2 in selfies and portraits as well. However, after doing the entire comparison, what I am still more surprised about is the fact that the Poco F1 continues to be a great performer even today when it comes to camera performance. It's just got two cameras, but even after 1.5 years of its existence, this camera can hold in good stead. I really like the performance even without Gcam on. Imagine with Gcam it would become even better. Honestly, overall, Poco, I feel, has the great opportunity to become the leader in camera technology and camera performance in mid-range and budget flagship segment, provided it gives some more software love to its hardware. So that's it from me. That was our full camera comparison of these three phones. I hope you guys liked it. Do let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it.